Natalie Layne, welcome to the Worship Keys podcast. You just got done with tour with 10th Avenue North. How was that?
It was a blast. It was so much fun. Their crew is amazing. We did 50 shows.
50
It was
shows.
crazy and so much fun.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Natalie Layne, there's so much to talk about with you. She is an insane keys player, which is honestly, when I started this platform, I had a list of 10 or 20 people of who I wanted to come on this podcast. And Natalie Layne was on that list. And
so honored.
for you to be here in front of me, in person here, is incredible.
Love it.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's going to be kind of like a hybrid of an episode, guys. We got a lot of good conversation, but also a lot of good practical music theory tips. We got the keyboard out in front of you, Natalie, because this is probably where you're most comfortable.
Oh, totally. This is my seat. Best seat in the house.
Yeah. Surrounded by we got a real acrosonic Baldwin behind us here. That's the piano I grew up playing. But we got the keyboard here so that people can see the notation and the MIDI stuff. But we're going to be talking about music, a lot of music theory today.
Oh, yeah.
But Natalie Layne, you're signed with Centricity Music, which is awesome.
So crazy.
You were an independent artist for a while. You went to Belmont. Okay, guys, she has a master's in piano. I don't know if we've ever had a guest with a master's in piano.
But scary. A lot of pressure.
So, guys, this is pretty awesome. A lot of people who teach themselves or maybe did classical lessons for a while, got a lot of gospel people on the podcast too. But you have a ton of influence with jazz, gospel. You're in the CCM world.
Yeah.
But I got to mention this too before we get going. Again, like I said, there's a lot to say with you, Natalie. There's so much to say, and you haven't even lived most of your life yet. So that's
wow. There's a lot more.
So much to say. So you've been on a handful of podcasts. So I got to say, she's been with Rita Springer on Worship is My Weapon podcast.
Rita's the best. Yeah.
How was that? Did you like that?
Oh yeah. We've been friends for a couple of years now. So it's fun when you're just we're talking with a friend. We're this is like when we're at coffee. We're just hanging out. But she's amazing. She's such a spiritual mom to us too. And so she's amazing. Everyone should listen to her podcast.
Absolutely.
In general. Yeah.
Worship is My Weapon podcast. We'll probably link that episode that you were featured on her page. But about a year ago, great conversation with you, talked about industry stuff, talked about worship in general, talked about a little bit of your upbringing and your internship, how you shadowed Bernie.
Crazy.
Which is amazing. Natalie Grant's husband, Bernie, who's just a powerhouse.
Also an amazing keys player.
Yes.
One of the best.
Yes.
You'll just watch him and have your mind blown. It's
absolutely
crazy.
And organ. And on the organ too, right?
He's the best. Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's crazy.
So that was really cool. Also, you were featured on a podcast. It was Stained Glass Kids, right? With Yancey.
Yes.
And you really talked about your family, your church life, growing up, and you love the church.
I love the church. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have a brand new album. It's been out for a while now called
Couple
All
months,
Joy.
yeah.
You've been touring that.
Yes.
How much fun has that been to tour that album?
Oh, it's been so much fun. It's crazy because we wrote those songs 2 years ago. The songs feel a little old to me now. We wrote those a long time ago. Right. But to then tour it and play these songs for people and for people who have been listening to them, and the songs now mean something to somebody else, always going to be wild to me. So that's been the most fun part, is to look into people's faces and be like, oh, we know the same song. This has meant something to both of us. What a gift it is to sing it together. So
that is awesome. That is awesome. Guys, we're going to talk a lot about music here, but before we do, I do want to talk a little bit about your beginning days learning the keys. So share with us a little bit of how when you were 3, 4, and 5 years old, and the influence of your grandmother.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my family is very musical. My parents, my grandparents, everybody plays something just for fun. Nobody's ever done it for a living, nothing like that. But everybody's volunteering at church. They're on worship teams, all that stuff. And so my parents were really smart with it, because I think they would have made me take piano lessons. They would have totally been those parents to be like, you will take piano lessons for 10 years or whatever. But instead of doing that, I was the first kid. So this is their first rodeo, and I think they nailed it. But they just bought me a little kind of toy keyboard when I was 3 years old. And they just didn't say anything about it. They just put it in my playroom. And I discovered it all by myself one day. I was like, what is this new toy we found? And I started playing these little melodies, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so teaching myself from the beginning, learning these melodies, things that I had heard that I could now play. And it's crazy because I think in those beginning days, a lot of people talk about learning the piano. And for me, it didn't feel like learning it. It felt like I was remembering how to play. Like it was like somehow in my bones that I love to play piano.
Yeah.
So I was doing all that, kind of discovering music. And then I was like, Mom and Dad, do you think I could like take piano lessons? And they were like, what a great idea. You had all by yourself. Good job. When really, I think it was their plan all along to get me to fall in love with it. But it worked out great because my grandma was a piano teacher for 30 years. Like she had a studio, a thriving piano studio of all these kids. And she has trained up some of the most amazing worship keyboardists. There's a guy named John Larson who is amazing. And she taught him how to play piano from the beginning. And like just all these people. And she retired, wasn't teaching anymore. And then I was like, Grandma, I want to learn how to play piano. So she came out of retirement for me, which was very nice. And so I was her only piano student for a while. We just were always learning together. And she taught me how to play by ear and classically. We were always learning classical stuff too. So that was my upbringing, and then started playing in church when I was like 12. It was crazy. I don't know why they trusted me to do that when I was like, this is probably a bad idea. I'm like a middle schooler. I don't know about that, but just had some really amazing mentors and grew up, playing in church.
And you grew up in Colorado, right? That's awesome.
Yeah. Grew up at a church called New Life there and just loved it.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And one of my favorite artists and worship leaders, Corey Asbury, which people joke about this when they know me personally. I love always including Reckless Love in a worship set.
Great.
For a few reasons. For one, that bridge is amazing. For two, it's a little controversial, and I like that.
Perfect. It's great. Yep. Supporter of the Reckless thing.
I am very much a supporter of this. And I love his...
It's like Unforeseen or Sloppy Wet Kiss. It's like that. I'm Sloppy Wet too. Okay. And Reckless. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. And so you actually, when you were growing up, you were in that same church that Corey Asbury was in, but you didn't know he was like an artist of some sort. Or...
He had a record out, but Reckless Love wasn't out. And so, when I was a teenager, my worship pastors were like Corey Asbury, Jared Anderson, John Egan. That's cool. And I had no idea that people knew who they were or that they were like in the worship world. They were just my friends and my pastors. But growing up, like watching them lead and leading with them was very formative. You just watch those people navigate the presence of God and how to lead people into that. And so it was very formative to lead alongside them, write songs with them. Like I didn't know what a blessing it was until after I left. I came to Nashville and people were like, oh, like talking about them. Like my friend Jared, like Corey, Corey's crazy. What are you talking about? Which he is. His personality is so funny. He's always been the way that people see him online. That's just Corey.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
He's so funny.
I love how he makes fun of himself a lot, or worship leaders, but he really does love God and love worship. Yes. And he's hilarious. Yeah. It was just sweet to be like mentored by those people when I didn't even really know that they had influence. And just really sweet. There's still so much that I learned from them that I think of now or go back to now. And so it was a gift. Yeah. That's amazing. And then you eventually went on to Belmont University. You won the Belmont Christian Showcase.
Yeah.
And that's what eventually led to your signing or is that not?
Yes.
To Centricity Music. Tell us about that.
Well, so the showcases at Belmont are essentially American Idol in Nashville. Okay. It's
a big deal.
It was a big deal. I auditioned one year and did not get it. Got cut pretty early.
Wow.
The judges are all people in the industry. So it's always interesting to hear their feedback. The first year we got cut. The second year we came back with the same songs and same thing. And they were like, this is amazing. I was like, this music is so subjective. It's hilarious.
Wow. Right place, right time.
Yeah. And it must have been that. It must have been that was the year. But we came back and ended up winning that showcase. And it's crazy. It's like a big deal on campus. Like it's in the arena at Belmont. Like all the students come to it. What I didn't know is that record labels also come to it. I didn't know that it was like a scouting thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which was good that I didn't know that, because that would have freaked me out.
But Nashville, you can always accept
I guess
that.
it's Nashville. But I was just a young college student. I don't know. But it was my senior year, and I had been playing with my band for a long time, and we felt ready to take those next steps. And so after that showcase, I had all of a sudden meetings with every label, just was meeting with everybody, starting to kind of decipher what I wanted to do, because I had released some stuff independently, was loving the independent artist life. Like, I thought I might never sign. I was like, this is so fun. We can be so creative.
And you'd produce your own music too, right?
I was producing a lot of, yes.
People know that.
Yeah, which I still get to do some of. It's so much fun. I produced 3 tracks on my record, and awesome, get to be in and out of that. But yeah, I was producing my own stuff with my band, who I had met back in Colorado. We started playing together when we were 13, and they're still my band that travels with me. And so we were having so much fun just making music together. And
they still travel with you.
Still travel with me.
That's
today.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Even after you get signed. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's fun. It's just fun to do with your friends. But we're meeting with all these labels, and I met this one that I was like, okay, if I ever were to sign, I'm not saying I'm going to sign, but if I ever were to sign, it would probably be with them. They're just so genuine, and like a small label that felt really family oriented and everything. Thought I might sign with them. Then COVID happens and shuts down all the plans. Like, I was going to go on my first tour. I was graduating college. Wow. I was going to release my first record, like maybe sign a record deal, and all that stopped.
Man, yeah.
And so just like a really confusing time of when I thought the Lord was starting something up, and then it felt like all the doors were slamming in our faces. And I know a lot of people felt like that, but it was especially weird in the music industry when all of a sudden you can't travel or tour or any of that. So I just reevaluated and was like, what else would I do if I wasn't doing this right now? And I was like, I'd love to teach music someday. I'd love to be some sort of a music professor, teach at the college level. And so to do that, you need a master's. And I was like, what else am I doing right now? Let's go get a master's in piano. So ended up doing that, kept talking to that label though, on and off, and signed with them 4 years later. So we were talking for a long time, but it's been a dream to work with them.
Okay, 4 years later. So what happened from that beginning point until when you were signed? What did it take for them to say yes? What did it take for you to say yes? What are the steps there? I know it's probably a very long conversation, which you and Rita Springer talked about that a good bit in her podcast, but tell us briefly that those 4 years where you were in between, what did that look like?
Yeah, and it was from both sides. It was like them deciding and me like submitting to what the Lord was doing there, because I don't know. I just thought that I was going to live the independent artist life. And so a lot of surrendering my own plans and what I thought. But no, I was just in the practice rooms for 2 years, really, while I was getting my master's. And that was also very formative for just my keys playing. I was writing songs all the time. And it was such a weird time in the world because you couldn't really do anything else. And so I was literally on my grind. I was just like trying to get really good at my craft. And so I feel like those years were actually really necessary when I didn't know that was how it was going to go. But so I was doing that for a long time. And then I was also begrudgingly, this is a theme of my life, is what I'm realizing. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do this. But let's try. He leads you into things you don't know that you were meant to do.
Yes.
But I remember during that time, he was like, I want you to start posting some of your songs online. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to delete all my social media, actually. I don't want to be on it more. And I just remember him saying, no, I want to be where people's eyes are. And their eyes are on TikTok right now. And so I want to go there and give them songs to sing during hard days or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And so I started posting these little clips of the songs I was writing.
Yeah.
And during COVID, a lot of people were doing that. TikTok had just started up. And it was cool. At first, like, nobody was seeing my videos. And then few more people were seeing my videos. And it just turned into this, like, collaborative thing. Like, I would play some song that I was writing and be like, what do we think of this? What should come next? What do you think the chorus should do?
I love that.
And then all of a sudden, it was like this giant online co-write or something. Like, people were sending in ideas and saying what they liked and didn't like, and just blew up all of a sudden. And
Wow.
and so that was a huge catalyst into me having an actual career right out of school, which I
Wow.
also never thought would happen. But all of a sudden I was getting asked to come play shows. And so I had a career
Wow.
all of a sudden,
Right.
which was awesome and was totally the dream. And so that was the first thing. And then the labels started seeing that, and okay, now we have something to work with, and here's the songs that people are loving. Just gave us a lot of like actual evidence that like people also connect to what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And so just started talking through that. There were some songs that had gone viral, and we were like, we need to get these out, and how is the best way to do that? And so
What was the first song that went viral? Or one of the first
the
ones?
first might have been a song called Steady.
Okay. I'm playing a little bit of that?
Sure. Yeah. It's 4 chords the whole time, but
There
they're
you go.
interesting. It goes from E minor to A minor, a little B7. And you play with it. It's just fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
So this was me like on the internet, just playing these few chords. Sometimes I snap with it. Or you do a little snap in your... add a little percussion. Yeah. I was
fun.
just playing that. It's fun, yeah. But people started finding that. It started ministering to them, like a little snappy song that I never thought would do that. But
That's awesome.
yeah, that was one of the first. And so that I was in process of released that independently, and went pretty well, kept talking. And then the label invited me on this songwriting retreat that they do. And it was amazing. I got to know them a lot better, and we got back, and the next day they were like, we would be silly not to offer you a deal. And I was like, if it's the right deal, let's do it.
That's awesome.
So it was sweet and a long process that I didn't know it was going to happen, but God took care of it. So
Praise God. That's awesome.
it was cool.
I think labels can be very empowering and beneficial for artists to help you record, get your music out, help with touring, help with logistics.
Yeah.
Sometimes, obviously, I think even now, more days, people really know about some of the bad deals that happen.
Totally.
And so they're very aware that, oh my goodness, I need to be very careful. And I think labels are also they've come to terms with that and how that can be a little tricky. But you mentioned a little bit with Rita Springer too, how you were able to keep a lot of the same independence of, hey, this is my style.
Yeah.
This is what I like to do. I'm not going to be this cookie cutter CCM thing. Talk to us a little bit about that. And again, we're going to hear you play some more and sing. Her voice is incredible, y'all. If you don't already know that, most of you probably, yeah, I know. I listen to her music. But talk to us a little bit about how they allowed you to not be cookie cutter and allowed you to have independence.
Yeah. That's so important, I feel like, because you're right. The bad stories kind of surface these days, especially. And we see lawsuits with labels. We see a lot of people just talking like they're very unhappy with their label, which makes sense. Like, it's going to be hard, especially I think as believers, like we're trying to marry these things of we're doing music as ministry and it's also business. And that is always going to rub. That's always going to be hard. And so on premise, it's difficult. And so when you add people and personalities and creative styles into that, it is a lot. It's a lot to work with. And that's why I felt like that specific label that I got in contact with was like, they're so unique, and I'm glad that I took the time to find who my actual people were, because I think some people jump into the first thing that they get offered, and that can actually be really dangerous. But yeah, these people specifically were just like, by the time that we were seriously talking, I had built a thing already that they were into. And so I remember our early discussions of them being like, we want to roll with your vision. And other labels had said, here's our vision for you. And so it was so refreshing for me to hear, we want to roll with this vision you have. Like, we really love it. Like,
it's amazing.
Obviously it'd be great if we had a song that could do well on radio or a song that could do well here, but we just want to let you run wild on your record and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I was like, no one has ever said that to me. No one else was saying that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's finding the right people, I think, and still, like, I'm 2 years into my deal and I still love them. Like, we just work together really well, and creatively it's worked out. But it's just rare, and I know that it's rare, and so I'm trying to appreciate
Right.
what we found here,
Oh,
because
man.
I think it's possible to have a really healthy relationship with your label, and if you have the right people and are listening to each other and helping each other and trying to serve each other and not fight for your own thing all the time. It is a letting people into your creative process, which
Right.
can be difficult, but it's helpful if you're making music for a lot of people. You want it to be helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's worked for us, and I think a lot of people these days are very anti-label, and I just want people to know that it's possible to have a healthy situation.
That's good. I love that, because you already had your own vision. God's already led you down this one path. Hey, I'm going to post this stuff. I'm going to create this, my own kind of community and connection, that a label's, hey, I'm going to back that up, because I love that. Some people, if they don't have a direction or a vision already going, maybe sometimes they feel like they have to push on that.
Yep.
And some labels feel like they always have to have a vision for an artist. But if you already have your vision so strongly and they recognize that in you, that's incredible, Natalie.
Yeah,
So
it was sweet. Yeah, and I feel like even that was the early days of the vision. I have more now than I had, but we had some direction, so it helped.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So a few things I want to talk about. And again, I want to hear you play and sing more. I don't want to just talk. We definitely want to hear you play more. But a few more things. So when you were younger, taking lessons with your grandmother, with your grandmother and grandfather, they're still alive and well and doing great.
Yeah, they're in their 80s.
That's amazing.
They're doing great. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I want you to talk about your piano lessons. So I think most of everyone understands the classical realm of things, like Mozart, Beethoven.
Totally.
You're reading the sheet music. You got to get everything down note by note, and that's pretty clear. So we don't have to talk about that. But when you're talking about ear training, what exactly did she do with you, and how did you train your ear to be what it is today?
I got to go back in the recesses here. Trying to remember what I was doing when I was young. I think it was really rare to have a piano teacher who did both of those things.
Right.
And because we would even talk to other piano teachers around town who either taught by ear or taught classically or taught note reading. And so I think it was really rare to have both, and I think she put them together in a lot of ways. Like, I was doing my scales, and at the same time I was realizing that the numbers of that scale are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And even that connection, to have a C major scale and know that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that all those notes, like as you're playing your chords, if we're in a diatonic mode, like we're here, and then the 2 is this, and then the 3 is this, and then the 4 is this, like all of that, putting those connections together at an early age was huge. And so I think, because after I took from her, I taught piano for a long time. And so putting that together for young kids was like really big. If they could understand that numerically this scale was what it was, they could do a lot more by ear if they had that from the beginning.
That's good.
And I think it applies to other instruments too. I think if people can learn that on the piano, then you can see it on the guitar, and you can see it, you can hear it on the saxophone or whatever. And so I just think that's really vital for young musicians. So it was that. And then I remember us learning how to read chord charts. We started with a lead sheet where I could see the melody and see the chords above it, and was just playing really simple 3-note chords. But she didn't let me stay there for very long. She was very into voicings, and I am very into voicings to this day.
Come on, Natalie, come on.
It wasn't ever this for very long. She was like, ew, I don't like the sound of that. So then we practiced, how can we voice those chords in a way that moves the notes as little as possible?
Absolutely.
And so that's a lot of what I would teach as a piano teacher too. If we're going from here to A minor, how do we change the least amount of notes? We're going to go from here to here. That kind of stuff was really helpful from a young age. And then I got to play around with it from there. And you make it your own if you're just discovering music. I just think that's so important for us to be having fun discovering things and discovering our own musical style. How do you play keys?
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of that too. It was a lot of just hearing what I thought was cool. And
for sure.
Yeah. And then my grandma was awesome because she also pushed me to write songs while I was learning how to play keys. And so the first song I ever wrote was an assignment for my piano lesson.
Okay.
My grandma was like, I want you to write a song this week. And I was like, that seems hard. I was 10.
You're 10.
So
wow.
I was like, that seems very difficult. I don't want to. And she said, it's actually really easy. I said, enlighten me, Grandma. How is this easy? And she said, I usually take the words from scripture. So she said, pick a psalm or pick something, use those as your words, and then you're half done.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wow.
You know? And then you add your own melody and chords to it.
I love that.
And so I wrote a song from the Psalms. Let's see if I can remember this.
Yeah.
It was just like, I will not fear, 'cause God is my refuge. I will not fear, 'cause God is my strength. So I'm writing that.
Oh, come on now.
It's not bad. Could
Take
be
us to
worse.
church.
Could be worse. But because like I had those words from scripture, it really helped it.
Wow.
And still I write songs from scripture a lot because I know that those words will never return void. Like we have that promise. And so that's where I started. That's still where I am.
I love that.
And so it was all that together
Wow.
that I felt was such a gift that she was teaching me.
Yeah.
And that now I still pull from. I'm still teaching myself in that cross-collateralized way. Like everything coming together and making connections that makes it so impactful.
I love that.
So.
I love that. At 10 years old, you're writing. And she gave you the permission to say, hey,
yes.
you
and
can
practical
do this.
Tools.
That's pretty
It
awesome.
wasn't just write whatever you want. It's
Right.
like very practical.
That's awesome. No, I love that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your album a little bit. Okay. So you said you produced a few songs. Which ones did you produce? Because I got to know. Which ones did you produce?
Yeah, I produce the live stuff. So
Okay.
I love more live production. So if we can be in the studio with the musicians, like at the board, talking to people, calling shots, like that's so fun to me.
And you have piano versions too of songs.
Yes.
Which I love.
So I produce those. And yeah, just so much fun to be in the studio with actual musicians these days. I feel like we do less of that, especially in Nashville. You can send it off to get guitars. You can send it off. So being in the room is what I love. So I usually get to produce those, and alongside my other producers, like I'm always in that process with them. But I love production and layers and things.
The Since I Found You sounds like it belongs in a Bruno Mars album.
What a
It starts off with that bass synth.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
And we got to talk about chord progressions now.
Yep.
You're not just doing the 4 chords. You do have some songs that are the 4 chords.
Yes.
But you're doing some extra things in there. Some stuff that's, what are you doing there? That's not as simplistic. Maybe it is the common thing in the gospel world, but not as common in the CCM modern worship world.
Yep.
And so would love to talk about that and your philosophy on that and why you choose these chord progressions.
Yeah.
For one thing, is it your choice? I'm sure everything is your choice because you're leading the ship here, even though you're a signed artist. I don't want people to think sometimes it is the case that you do have a huge team and the artist is just the spotlight
face
person
of it, yeah.
But you, from what we know, you are writing this stuff and doing this, and then your producers are taking it and making it incredible, of course.
Love it.
I'm like, man, I'm listening to this stuff and it reminds me a little bit of the latest Jonas Brothers album,
cool.
like John Bellion type vibe.
Love John.
And the production's incredible for one thing. Thanks. So they're doing a great job. You're doing a good job. So talk about a little bit of the arranging, the chord progressions. Talk us through specifically, Since I Found You, grateful for some of those fun progressions.
Those are fun progressions.
That you get to play.
Yeah, I think even some of the philosophy behind it, I think people think we can either do 4 chords or we can make it crazy. You know, it's like a very, I don't know, opposite ends of the spectrum. And I've wanted to find somewhere in the middle that would be accessible but still interesting. And I studied a lot of jazz when I was at Belmont, and so that kind of gave me some of the language to navigate chords.
Awesome.
Which is awesome. And I love people like, sometimes I think about Charlie Puth. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
He is a jazz trained pianist.
Yeah.
And he makes these pop songs that are like, when you listen to him,
very
sometimes
catchy,
they're
right?
4 chords and they're catchy, but they're interesting. And so I wanted to find that middle ground.
And the voicings and the chord extensions is what does it too, right?
I think so much of it is about voicing and how you navigate the chords that you're playing. I think you can make 4 chords so interesting.
Yeah.
If they're navigated the right way. So yeah, even with Since I Found You, like let's see, what key are we in? F sharp. Guys, I hate F sharp. Can we talk about my voice loves it. It's so unfortunate. But nothing fits in your hand as a keys player. Okay. So even this is the chords are like 4 in F sharp. 1/3, 4. And then major 3, but we're going to do an inversion of it. 6, and then we have a bit of a 2/5, so we're gonna go minor 5, 1/7, and then back. So we go, but a lot of that is the voicing up here. I'm keeping my hand in this place. 2, 3.
Yeah.
And then you just add little things along the way. I think another interesting thing, like in the
Yeah, I'm
doing
already
a little
there.
straight
I'm ready.
I love it.
The dissonance, the
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it to me in the gospel world, it's like we're trying to play 10 notes at a time. Like it can be that feels like a lot. It can be very overwhelming. Instead of playing 10 notes at a time, maybe we can play 4.
Yeah.
And the voicing can make it interesting. So here, if I'm playing the 4 chord, but then I have the major 7 and then the 3/5, then maybe I can just move those notes a little bit. Like almost all those are 4-note voicings, but it's interesting because of where the notes are placed.
That's good.
And then like later in the song, I'll move that up. I'll go something like that. I love that.
Yes.
Like it's not that many notes, but it's interesting the way that it's placed. So
how did you learn that style, and why did you start incorporating it in your songwriting?
Jazz started it.
Right.
I was learning so much from just like looking at the real book, like looking at chords, figuring out how melodies fell over the chords. But then it goes back to what my grandma taught me. Like I'm playing this same chord in all different voicings.
Yeah.
And then that 2/5 comes from jazz. So it's a little bit of lots of places that I've learned from, I think.
Yeah.
But it's also what's interesting to my ear, which I think can change for different people. What's interesting to your ear,
Absolutely.
Maybe that doesn't interest you. Maybe you hear it a different way and you should play it that way. So, but also all the music that I grew up on kind of leans that way. I grew up on a lot of gospel stuff.
Yes.
I love it.
I love it too. I love all of your music and your chord choices. So my favorite one, which I want you to sing and play if you don't mind.
Sure.
Is The Long Way. That's my favorite song
thanks.
off the whole album, which I love the fast stuff too and the groovy stuff. I like Since I Found You because it's so like funky sounding.
Yeah.
Love it. And Grateful For. Love that progression too.
Yeah.
Kind of similar vibe, similar thing. And then the All Joy, which is the title of the whole album. That's fun. And you hear a little bit more flat sevens in, I guess, today's CCM music.
The flat 7 became very popular.
Yeah.
What does Clark say? Jesus loves the flat 7.
Yeah, Jesus loves the flat 7. Yeah.
Which he does. I think he loves music too.
Yes. Yeah. Clark Beckham, y'all. He's amazing.
Love Clark.
And in All Joy, you use the flat 7.
Yes.
You're in the key of C for that?
Yeah. We start in C.
Okay.
We don't
okay.
end in C.
Talk about that.
That song is 4 chords, I think. But we go from 1 to, instead of 6, we're going to do a 4/6. Flat 7. 4. I also love subbing a 5 minor. I just think it's fun.
Absolutely.
You know?
And talk about the little, you know.
What are even those called? I don't know.
Use a lot in country.
A little grace note?
Yeah, from the 2 to the 3. That little
love
flick.
those. I think that makes it so much more like a human voice. That's why I love it. And I have to remember that all instruments are derived from the human voice. Like that is our instrument that is God-given. And so everything that we've made mimics that in some way.
Yeah.
And so the more that we can take these very solid notes and like bend them and shift them, makes it more human to me. It makes it more real sounding. So yeah, a lot of times I'll go from 2 to 3 And then here too. There too, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just kind of bends it in a nice way.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And then in the chorus, I'll do it a little more bouncy, different voicing. Octaves in the bass. Don't overcomplicate it, you know? It feels good. And then the bridge has some hits, different progression. Sort of. Walk up. This is my favorite part, actually. Because we're going to change keys from the 2. So when we walk up, 2, 3, 4, 4 over 5 of the new key. Your face as you're hearing this is so great.
I love
this
it.
is what it's so fun. Yeah, that's something Grandma taught me. She's like 4 over 5 of the new key. 4 over 5 of the new key. Like, it just is so ingrained.
It's ingrained, yes.
Love it. So we go from C. We could make that cleaner, actually. Maybe you go a little. You know, just kind of move it up in that way.
Yes.
So then we end the song in D.
Awesome.
Which I love.
I love that.
Very rare for me to do a regular key change, though. That's C to D.
Mm-hmm.
I love to go down with key changes, go to a totally different place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we make the rules, you know?
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
no actual rules.
Right.
Music is fun. Yeah. So
Who are some of the artists that you really like listening to? And they don't have to be worship or Christian artists. They don't have to be, but they can be.
But they can be. Let's do some of both.
There's no off limits. We don't have to stay.
Yeah.
But what are some of the artists and people that you love their music?
Yeah.
right
I
now?
mean, I love Stevie Wonder. I will say that.
Oh yeah.
I grew up on like Kirk Franklin
Yes.
and
yes.
Israel and New Breed,
Come on.
people like that.
Yes. Same.
Love them. Still to this day, I'll listen to that and be like, what is going on?
You should do a
Like,
collab with them.
oh, I would absolutely freak out. That would be crazy for my like 5-year-old self. You know,
Right.
this is crazy. But I also love, like, I mean, I grew up on everything. I grew up on K-Love too. So I grew up on 10th Avenue North.
Yeah.
And
You're
also,
a church kid.
Church kids, come on. But also on the people that
She has a song called Church Kids.
I
You
do
need to
have a
listen to
song
it
called
if you
Church
haven't
Kids.
heard it. Sorry.
Good vibe.
Yeah.
Very good vibe.
Yeah.
But I feel like some of my biggest influences were the people at my church that I was listening to. Like at the time when I was growing up, Jared Anderson was writing The Great I Am,
Yeah.
Amazed.
Amazing.
I remember being probably 6 years old, and Jared and his wife came over to our house, and he was like, I'm working on this song. I'm 6. And I sit down at the piano, and he's like, you know, you are the source of life. I can't be left. And I'm like learning the little melody.
Wow.
You know, and just
Right.
like playing those with him. So I feel like learning that while sitting with him learning that was also a really big influence, and I still love those songs.
That's
so
amazing.
yeah, kind of a mix of all that.
That's so cool. I love that. Okay, more on the album here. The Long Way. I love the strings in that, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Which, what's the story that is that like real strings or is
Oh,
that
yeah.
programmed or?
Oh, it's real. Listen.
Okay,
We do real
it
instruments
sounds real,
around
but
here.
you just never know.
I know.
MIDI's so good these days.
With
You can
we do
assume
real
with-
instruments.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're signed and everything.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Real strings is beautiful arrangement. Who did you arrange that or did someone
Tim
else?
Lauer did that one.
Tim,
So
okay.
good. So good.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
The progression though, so the verse is kind of like you're hanging on that one, but kind of like 4 over 1, 5 over 1. Talk about that, like key of D, right?
Yep. This is a Jeff Pardo special. We wrote this together, and I was telling him the concept for the song, but I was like, I don't know the exact vibe, and he was like, oh yeah, it's just like this. Which is so me too. I love just like patterns like that. But the way that moves, I think, is what makes it kind of like settle. Like it's just like a sweet progression. So it just goes from 1, 4 over 1, 5 over 1, 4 over 1 for like the entire, all the verses. I bring it up. So
Wow.
yeah,
So pretty.
just so
Just
sweet. It
beautiful.
just felt like it settled, and I was like, oh, if that can,
Yeah.
you can feel that settle some hearts.
Yes.
That's the goal. So.
And then that 5-6-4-1 progression in the chorus is just the heartstrings. It's just amazing.
Thanks.
And I want to hear you sing that because that
Sure.
song is so impactful, and it really spoke to me too. The first time I heard it, I was like, "Oh man, this is getting
So
me.
thankful.
This is getting me."
Thanks.
Really, really good. What's your favorite song of the whole album?
Oh gosh, I feel like it changes day to day. Right now, it's probably that one.
Really?
Yeah.
And on tour, have people really connected with that song?
Yeah. It just seems like everybody's got something that they're waiting for, and so that hits a chord with people because it's, I mean, God just takes a long time to answer our prayers sometimes. And I've just kind of come to the conclusion that it's not about answering the prayer, it's about what He's building in us along the way. And so I mean, it's crazy because once we kind of take those back roads with Him, He could take us right from point A to point B, but He more often takes us along these back roads to get wherever we're going. And but by the time we get to the destination, usually we care less about the destination and more about knowing the Lord, which I think is the point.
That's the point.
Right. So so the song has kind of struck a chord with people. It's been cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What was the writing process for that song?
Crazy. So
tell us about there's an intro for it. And it's like such a raw. What's going on there with the intro going into the song? Tell us all about that.
So, gosh, that year was one of the craziest years of my life because I had just signed and I was writing songs every day. So we wrote like 130 songs that year or something.
And did it hurt to like cut a lot of those songs?
Oh yeah, it's a bummer. Somehow the right ones make it though.
Okay, so on tour, you are playing the piano a lot. So a lot of artists, even if they do play, they will not play. Now, sometimes you don't. I've seen where the other guy was backing you up.
Sure.
And other people have backed you up before. Incredible keys players. And you're like vibing with them, especially when you get the melodica out or something, which maybe we'll hear today.
Yeah, we can play a little melodica.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about how you've chosen to stay on the keys and play for yourself. Like on the song, even though someone else could have played.
Yes.
Why is that? Why that choice?
I just love it so much.
Yeah.
I feel like because it's my first instrument and it's it's where I fell in love with music. Like I can't not do it. It just feels like I just love to do it. And so I play it live for sure. There are usually only a couple songs in my set where I won't play or I won't play for like a minute of the song and then I'll be like, okay, let's get back to the keys,
Right.
But I love to play on my recordings. I'm not like married to that, there are times like The Long Way is a great example. Any songs that I do with Jeff, usually both of us play on it.
Right,
and it's just whoever is, on the keys at that moment, or we're also both producing, like someone will be tracking, someone will be writing, and then we'll switch or whatever. Sure. So usually on the credits list, both of us are credited as keys players, which is fun. It's fun to work with other keys players who get you out of your boxes too.
Right.
And I don't ever want to like be the only one, contributing to the keys sounds because I just feel like getting me out of that box is really good.
For sure.
But it's fun. I love it so much that I can't not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, and you love to play. You love to ad lib. I mean, you're not just safely playing. You're really playing, and you're really laying
safe
into
is no fun. We're taking chances out here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I interrupted you a little bit. So The Long Way,
the
intro, and you wrote over 100 songs. Tell us about that process again. I'm so sorry I interrupted, but
no, you're fine. So we had written a lot of songs that year, and it was just like, honestly, it was so fun. Like, I also love writing songs. I love the process of being in the room with people and bouncing off ideas. And so the intro to The Long Way on the record is just a voice memo of me at this like felt piano at Bernie's studio.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like playing, figuring out some chords, and they're talking in the background, my friends Bernie and Benji, about just how God fathers us and doesn't, get down on us when we make a mistake, but He's actually way kinder to us than we are to ourselves. And they were just talking about how they didn't get that till they had kids, and just kind of the father heart of God in that, and how he's not coming down on us. He's just like guiding us and gently leading us the right way. And so I just felt like that was a great introduction to what we're talking about in the long way. Like God is so gently guiding us and really kind in the long process, even though it feels long and cruel sometimes, but it's not his cruelty that leads us that way. You know, it's actually the kindness of God, because it's about what he's building in us. And, so that was the intro to it. And then I felt like the song is so special, I think, because, a lot of my life has been lived the long way. So I feel like I've lived that song, and, even in my music, like I've put in a lot of time and the 10,000 hours plus, and a lot of faithfulness there, and just like watching God build it slow. And, so I felt like I had kind of lived that. And then it was the only song on the record where I felt like the Lord was like, I want you to write this concept with these people. Like he was very like, has to be these people. And I didn't know why.
Yeah.
But when I invited them into the room, they started sharing about the long way in their own lives. One of them has had some really crazy health problems just going on for a long time. Jeff he's like probably 42, and he is just exploding in his music career. So he's been 20 plus years of like, meh, or like just trying to get things rolling. And now he's producer of the year and all this stuff. So
incredible. Yeah.
So these people have lived their own long way. And so writing it together just felt like they knew the words to express that concept. And so I think that's why it's so special, just the like vision and time behind it.
I love that.
So it's one of my favorites right now.
I love that. I would love to hear you sing it live for us right here, right now.
Let's do it.
And then also a few things I would love for you to play Grateful For if you're down for it.
For sure.
Get some MIDI notation on that too. If you don't mind,
gosh, it probably looks crazy. It probably will not make sense, but we'll try.
Yeah. And then also I want to give you a chance, what is God doing in you currently right now? I know, you said we wrote those songs a long time ago. We're doing the album. And then when you release the album, that's what everyone sees and hears. And you're like, okay, I'm kind of over this. Not really, but I'm kind of over this. But what's God doing new in you right now? What's burning in your heart, Natalie, right now? And what's to come for you in your music career?
Yeah, the whole process and the journey of being an artist is so interesting, because you do write the songs and then you talk about them for 2 years, and you play them for 2 years. And so I'm just in the middle of like kind of creating some new things and seeing what might be underground, and like that part of it is so interesting to me, because it's like, God, what are you doing? And we're like trying to decipher that and just follow that. And we don't know, but we're walking into whatever it might be. But I've just felt like over the last couple of years, and still I feel like the Lord is speaking a lot about the concept of joy. And I think it might be where we have come from in the last 5 years. We've been through this COVID thing all together, and I just think it stole a lot of people's joy. Like the spiritual implications of that are a lot more than we think. Yeah. And I just think a lot of people got really disappointed by a lot of things, and we kind of have forgotten how to like dream really big with God and have big faith for big things. And so I think that that's true as a community, as a church, and so I just think God is in the business of restoring our joy right now, and letting us know where to actually look for joy. Like where is joy located, and it's like, we look to all these things for it, but ultimately, like, I just keep coming back to the fact that joy is a fruit of the Spirit, and like that, I always knew that, but like thinking about it and what that actually means, if the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, and on, like, joy is not a fruit of anything else. It's not a fruit of our own striving for it. It's not a fruit of ourselves. It's a fruit of the Spirit. And so if we want to have more joy, we have to ask for more of the Spirit and let him actually come in and be that.
Come on.
And so I don't know. I just think we have grasped for joy in a lot of places, including in our own selves for a long time. And the Lord just wants to come in and be that and lead us back into that. So that's what I feel like he's doing right now. And it's cool because we're seeing a lot more people speak on it. Like,
right.
I felt that for a couple of years. And then I like Torrin Wells has a book about joy, and who is it? We Are Messengers has a whole album and all this stuff about joy. So just like all these people are popping up talking about
Ben Rector as well.
Ben Rector, like literally you like start to feel it, and then everybody's talking about it. I'm like, okay, like the Lord's doing there's some movement there. So
I love that.
That's what I've been feeling. I feel like he's leading us into.
So good. I love that. Okay. A few little logistical questions. What's your favorite keyboard choice? Or do you have a favorite one?
I'm on the Nord train so
You're
hard.
On the Nord. Okay.
And I listen.
Yes.
I know it's become so like everyone's doing it.
No,
okay?
I love the Nord. I love the Nord.
But also I'm Swedish and they're Swedish, and so I just feel the connection.
The connection.
Yeah.
So when you play on the keyboard bed, it just like
it's just
goes through your soul, and you're like,
yes, you
back to your,
feel it. You're
back to your heritage.
You're home. You know. No.
Nord sponsor Natalie right
Nord,
now.
I would love to work with Nord. I think it'd be great. Yeah, I bought a stage 3 in college, and I still have it. It's the best. It's actually a 76 key, so I can travel with it really easy. I fly with it. Nice. It's awesome. It's under 50 pounds. Southwest free. Okay.
I love it.
Wow. So you got to figure out the specs, you know.
Yeah.
So I love my stage 3. I have traveled a lot solo. I do a lot of solo shows as well as band shows. So the stage has been great for that because I'll have, of course, my pianos and my pads, sometimes a little bit of organ, but I've also figured out how to take my tracks and get them into the Nord. So they're in my sample program on the Nord. So I don't have any outboard, anything. I don't use a laptop.
Wow.
I play my tracks through my Nord. And so, so I'm stereo out for my keys and then stereo out for my tracks.
Oh, wow. Maybe we should have done the whole episode on how to do that. Simply, how do you do that? Is it extremely complicated?
So this is not really complicated, but you kind of have to hack it a little bit.
Okay, we want to know these things. We want to know these things.
It's
the Worship Keys podcast.
It's the Worship Keys podcast. So you have to have an older software than the current one.
Got you. The Nord,
older Nord software. Like Stage Manager software.
Got you. Yeah.
Can do it. The current one only goes up to 60 seconds of a sample. So you can load 60-second samples into your synth program anytime. But the older programs can do longer than that.
Got
and
you.
So I've just kept I haven't updated.
Why did they do
I
that?
Don't know. But I refuse to update.
There you go.
Refuse because I can get a longer track in my keyboard. So yeah. So I've got all those loaded in just like with my different patches.
That's the real meaning of the long way. It's the
no, I'm just kidding. Keep go with it, you know. But yeah, so I just have them loaded into my different patches and and it's awesome. And then I just trigger them with a key. So like my top key on my Nord triggers that sample.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's cool.
So you run your own tracks through the Nord.
Yeah.
So you didn't have a computer or Ableton?
No computer, nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
And it always works?
Every time.
Every time.
Yeah, 100%.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Take that tip, y'all. Take that tip right now.
Yeah. It's been awesome. Because it's also like if you're playing like a festival in the heat of summer, you know, your computer could absolutely crap out on anything.
Of course, right.
But the Nord's been awesome.
It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Okay, do you know the band Lawrence?
Love Lawrence.
They're awesome.
Yep.
Do you know, what's that band's name?
Do you know a band called Couch? Do you ever listen to
Couch? No.
You need to listen
to
them.
Are they awesome?
Yeah, they're awesome.
Okay.
They opened for Corey Wong.
Oh, I love Corey Wong.
Love Corey.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and they're so good. You need to listen to them.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. Mm-hmm. I will do that.
Great key stuff.
There's another band kind of similar, female vocalist.
Similar to Lawrence?
Similar to Lawrence, yes.
Female vocalist, not Lettuce.
A little older. Not old, but just a little older than Lawrence. Lawrence is pretty young. The female vocalist she was pregnant. She had a baby recently. Great keys.
She plays keys?
She sings, but the keys player is really awesome.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh man.
Oh, wait.
Oh man, I got to know if you know these people.
Oh, Lake Street Dive?
Lake Street Dive.
Cool.
Yes.
So good.
You like them?
Love them.
Yeah. They're groovy.
Their sound is so cool.
I feel like your sound kind of can, it just kind of mingles with those a little
Thanks.
bit, which is pretty cool. So keep laying into that for sure.
It's my favorite.
I know you're going, you got radio hits, you got other things going on too, but keep going on. Keep laying into that.
We can't stop. Unfortunately.
Stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Okay. Well, any last words for worship keys players specifically? Any advice for them? Any encouraging words?
I feel like just keep discovering, like keep playing on your own time. I do feel like we forget to have fun with music, you know, and we're learning the songs for Sunday and, you know, we have to do that part. But just 5 minutes here and there of playing around and discovering some new things, I feel like is really helpful. And it's just something we forget to do after we've kind of originally learned all our stuff. Like we go away from the piano lesson thing and we dive into, we're playing for Sunday. And so I just think, let's remember to have fun with music because it's such a gift to us.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Very cool. Well, are you ready to play some more?
I'm ready.
Awesome.
Let's do it. Beat, beat, beat.
Hey.
I love that.
Thanks. It feels so silly, doesn't it?
Bing, bop, boom. It feels like bing, bop, boom, bop, boom, bop, bam.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
That's the vibe. I'm the kind of heart that likes to know right where I'm going. I would take the highway over dirt roads any day. I would rather speed things up than learn to trust the process. Tell me yes or tell me no, just don't tell me to wait. 'Cause you see more than I can see. You've got good plans for me, so I'm surrendering. Take me down the long way if that's where I'm meant to be. Take me down the back roads, God, you know what's best for me. You're with me every moment, even the ones I wouldn't choose. Take me down the long way if the long way leads to you. I've seen your faithfulness in every mile so far. All that I have needed, you provided from the start. Your voice is always gentle and your love is evergreen, leading me to a kindness that I never would have seen. So take me down the long way if that's where I'm meant to be. Take me down the back roads, God, you know what's best for me. You're with me every moment, even the ones I wouldn't choose. Take me down the long way if the long way leads to you. Oh, if the long way leads to you. 'Cause you see more than I can see. You've got good plans for me. They're better than I dreamed. So I'm yours and I believe that you'll take me down the long way if that's where I'm meant to be. Take me down the back roads, God, you know what's best for me. You're with me every moment, even the ones I wouldn't choose. Take me down the long way if the long way leads to Hey friends, it's Natalie Layne. This is my song Grateful For. We're going to start in the key of F sharp and then we're going to modulate into the second verse. So feel free to learn it with me. You can see the notation. Let's do it. It's not always easy to see the good when it doesn't look the way I think it should. I know what it feels like when a smile don't feel right. But even the stress of a million cares can't cover the blessings you put everywhere. It don't take rose-colored glasses to see the gold in the madness. I just gotta take time, slow down, and take a moment to see it now. The little things are what it's all about, what it's all about. I'll take a look around. There's something to be grateful, something to be grateful for. It's waiting to be found underneath the surface. Everything I'm searching for, couldn't find it in me. I found it in you. I'm learning to see, cause you're teaching me to take a look around. There's something to be grateful, something to be grateful, something to be grateful for. Yeah, grateful for, grateful for, grateful for. Here we go. For your mercy, the morning light, for all of the ways that love has changed my life. I know you're behind all the goodness, don't let me forget it. Yeah. When the sun don't shine in the dead of night, when the tears keep rolling from my eyes, I know you're always by my side. It's how I know I'm gonna be alright. I'll take a look around. There's something to be grateful for. It's waiting to be found underneath the surface. Everything I'm searching for, couldn't find it in me. I found it in you. I'm learning to see, cause you're teaching me to take a look around. There's something to be grateful, to be grateful, to be grateful for. Yeah, grateful for, grateful for, grateful for. Yeah, in the morning I'll be grateful, in the evening I'll be grateful, cause I know that you are faithful, you are faithful, you are faithful. In the good times I'll be grateful, in the hard nights I'll be grateful, cause I know that you are faithful, you are faithful, yeah. So I'll take a look around. There's something to be grateful for. It's waiting to be found underneath the surface. Everything I'm searching for, couldn't find it in me. I found it in you. I'm learning to see. You're teaching me to take a look around. There's something to be grateful, to be grateful, to be grateful for. Yeah, grateful for, grateful for, grateful for. Grateful for, grateful for, grateful for. Oh, there's something to be grateful for.
Natalie Layne on the Worship Keys podcast. Hey, thanks for being on today.
Thanks for having me.
You're
So fun.
amazing. Check the links for all the stuff to her music and whatnot. But we're going to end this episode with a melodica solo.
Do people know about the melodica?
I don't think they do.
They need to know.
They need to know.
It's a
and if you
beautiful
see her
instrument.
live, you'll see her play this. So
Yeah.
where did you get this? What's the story with this?
I don't know. This is an E-Star brand.
E-Star.
I like it. I don't know.
You are a star as you play the E-Star.
Thanks. You know,
Or Easter
E-Star.
services.
I don't know.
Melodica for Easter.
look it up. I don't know.
All
I
right,
just
y'all.
know that I like the sound.
Here's a
All right.
little outro for you guys. A little outro for the podcast. A little new one just for today.
Just it's very special. Okay.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Beautiful.
Natalie!
Beautiful.
That was incredible.
That was so great.